Oh, one. Saved by the bell. Good morning to you. Once again, we appear to be in fits of laughter just as we start. Only because I just tripped over a camera, sent it flying, having just very carefully readjusted all the camera angles, and then just kicked it. I'm away. Kick it. So, you know, we may or may not have accurate camera angle. Who knows?
Who knows?
Basically,
nice
anything could happen.
Ceiling.
Yeah. I mean, everyone wants to see my lights, right? Probably, you know, a few cobwebs, bit of dusting needs doing. But let's not look at the ceiling.
Let's not
look there. Let's not there. No, and we've got such beautiful things here to look at. Are you all right? Have you joined us this morning? Who's with us? Oh, yeah, coming on board. Hello, Jan. Hello, Pam. I love the giggles. Good morning, lovely ladies. If we haven't giggled...
There's something wrong. I think we giggle most days, don't we?
Yeah. And with a good few full-on belly laughs as well. Yeah. Oh, Wet in Hampshire says Sarah. Morning. Morning, Elizabeth. Morning, Alison. Morning, Jane. Other Jane, not you, but yeah. Good morning to you too. It's Block of the Month, so of course Jane is here. And your mother's here as well. Morning, Kate. And Mary and Rona, good morning. And Alison and Margaret, hello. And Bernice and Grace and Carol, hello. And Anne, hello. And Hilary and Elizabeth and Leanne, good morning. And Susan from a very grey, very soggy Battle.
It's not going to last forever. Spring is on its way.
Yeah.
I think it's about 5 weeks away, isn't it? Middle of March.
Is that when it is?
Yeah, it's only about 5 weeks away. We can start looking at
getting
lighter longer already.
You know it is, which is discombobulating because it means the kids, their bedtime sort of creeps up a bit later without me noticing. That's never good. Be in bed nice and early. Anyway, look, I've got some really good goodies.
Yeah.
I've got none of the words, apparently. I'm just going to reuse
good
a few.
Works.
Yeah, I've got some good goodies for you today. I've got... Jane?
Have I picked up the wrong one?
No, I didn't realise how many I cut this morning.
Supercharged this morning.
This as well as I was cutting up the half metre. Oh, this looks... Oh, they'll like this. I'm going... I didn't realise quite how many I...
It's a lovely selection.
There is a lovely selection, to be fair. There's
something for everybody there.
Beautiful selection. So we'll get onto that in a minute. Or should we start now? So this is just to give you a heads up. So for anybody new that watching, good morning. Hello, welcome. Every Thursday, so at midnight tonight, so early morning midnight Thursday, we launched something called the Half Metre Heaven. And the Half Metre Heaven is 2 half meters that work beautifully together. One will be a designer, one will be a coordinating plane or batik or something like that, so that you get fabrics that you know work colour-wise. It's a bit of a treat. They are a bargain, but it just means that because the colour matching on screen, impossible to do. So we do it for you. And today what I've done is given you a few little options as well. Do you want to see? Because, oh no, hang on, it hasn't switched over. There we go. So this one here, this is a Dina Designs. I am loving Dina Designs. I don't know about you, Jane, but
I do like her colours and designs, definitely.
Just how beautiful is this? It's very, very delicate, but you've got lots of little blooms and things in there. And these are the colours down the selvage, and I went next tone darker. Can you see on there? Went next one darker. And I just think
really nicely.
It really does. This is a very, very delicate one. Normally, I go all out, don't I, with the colour, and it's like, wow, there's a hit of colour. And then it occurred to me, not everybody always wants masses of colour. This one will blend beautifully. Look at all that detail in there, isn't it gorgeous?
It's such a subtle, pretty fabric. It's really nice.
It really is. And then look, you see, just that tone darker, just giving it that little bit. Sometimes you go lighter, but I think that would have lost everything.
Yeah, it just lifts it slightly.
Yeah. So we went a little bit darker. There we go. So that is that one for you. And pop that to that side there. Now this is Henry Glass black, white, and red hot. Look at that. Woohoo! If I open it, this is just a quarter of it, by the way. So that's your half, and then, you know, so just for those people that don't know, these are all quilting weight cottons, 44 inches, selvage to selvage. Now, this is where it got interesting. Well, for me anyway.
Yes.
Because obviously Scarlet, yeah, right,
works beautifully.
obvious choice, obvious. But, what if you wanted to do a quilt and you wanted something more subtle?
Yeah, greys work really well, don't they?
Right, yes. So, the greys are in there and I matched it. It has the unfortunate name of being called school grey, which nearly put me off, but don't, because it's a good grey. It is a good grey. It's a hard-working grey. So I thought, you know, there might be those of you that would go, yes, 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 need that in my life. Maybe you don't want it with the bright, bright red, or maybe you're doing a quilt and you want it with the red and the grey, in which case you'd have a metre of this, half metre of that, and a half metre of the other. But it's Henry Glass fabric. Lovely. We haven't had any Henry Glass in for a little while, have we?
No, it's nice.
No, 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 no. Ah, now, Jane, you'll recognise this.
Oh, I love that fabric.
There was a little bit left over from your quilt kits. So obviously I had to do something fabulous with it. And I found a batik.
Oh, yes.
Right, amethyst salt batik.
Perfect.
Rude not to.
Really?
Really rude not to. It just warms it. An absolute treat. So if you want to see the detailing in there, it is a bit gorgeous, isn't it?
It's a really vibrant colour. It's beautiful.
Well, teals and purples, what's not to love? But that is it then. When that is gone, that is the rest. That's all the fabric. That's Kathy Doty. I want to say Doty. I'm going to say Doty. I only have 3 of these left. And then that's the end of that bolt gone.
Oh, look at that.
I know. Last time we picked out that colour, didn't we?
Yeah.
Pow, 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 pow. It's amazing how it just does something different, doesn't it?
It does. Makes it really pops it.
Love it. This is a Philip Jacobs design. Absolutely adore his stuff. I really need this as a bag in my life.
Yeah.
Maybe there are only 2 left now. I keep saying to myself every time I get it in or in a different colourway, must make a bag out of that, and then I think I'll get it next time. I'll see if I can get another one. This flew out last time. It's so pretty, and it is by Odile Bellew. Not quite sure how to say her surname, but we've put a beautiful sunshine batik with it, and it's called Fairy Circles, and it's just so lovely because you can pick out little bits. Perfect for your English paper piecing.
Oh yes, you can really fussy cut that.
Yeah, there's detail. There's lots of detail. It depends how much, whether you want it on a large scale or a small scale. Really useful, beautiful fabric, and it's with our beautiful salt batik. Gorgeous. Again, only 5 of those left. Oh, now, bit of a treat for you.
Bit of Liberty.
Full Bloom Liberty. This is just what we had left. So that's the deal, isn't it, with the half meters? It's what we've got left. We're not getting it back in again. With the cadet blue, picking out all of those lighter blues. Absolutely beautiful. Rude not to. See, with the blue, without the blue, without. It's like when you go to the opticians, isn't it? Is it better with or without? So, yeah, I mean, half metre heavens, Liberty, come on. Come on. Oh, another Philip Jacobs.
I love this one.
Love, 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 love. This. It is called Spiral Shells. I picked the green. I mean, I could have picked any colour because it's got all the colours. I went with green because it was fresh, zesty,
zingy.
and zingy. Yes.
I do love that green.
It's like when they, on your drink, when they put just a little bit of a on top.
Just finishes it off.
I don't know the technical word for it. Sometimes they put like a bit of a zest, don't they?
Yeah.
So, but we've just said zesty. Again, I need new words. It's clearly where I'm going wrong. I love this. This is Nuncia. It is Pat Bravo. To start off with, it's Art Gallery Fabrics, which is one of my favourite. Well, they use the most beautiful substrate, which is the base cloth. It just is so silky and soft. It's really beautiful. But look. Oh, hello, Jade. There it is. All in there.
It really lifts the pink, doesn't it, that jade?
Doesn't it?
You're surprised.
There it is. But again, only a handful of these. So, yes, you're going to have to... Now, this was left over from a kit, wasn't it?
Yes.
This is Carnaby Street. This is Pat Bravo again. So this is more Art Gallery Fabrics. Do me a favour. If you have never had any Art Gallery Fabrics, just get one of these. Just because they even say it on the selvage, don't they, Jane?
Yeah, something like
feel the difference. Feel the difference. There it is. And it's so true. And you will be hooked. You'll be addicted. I love their stuff. And I picked out that pink. Ooh.
You can have such fun with that fabric, fussy cutting it. It looks fun. It's almost got a face in it.
60s vibe.
It's really strange. Not strange, that's the wrong word, because it's not strange, but it's fascinating how it works.
Hypnotic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Psychedelic, like Carnaby Street.
Oh, well, great name. There we go. There we go. So we've got a few of those. And then Moda.
That's pretty.
Isn't it? Isn't it? We love. Hang on. Has that got a mark on? Right, well, we're one down on that. Down to 4 of those now. Oh, I'm going to put that in the scrap box pile. Oh, here we go. Lotus.
Nice.
Cave Facet Collective. I think this is actually one of the man himself.
Beautiful.
I went through every colour. I agonised over this. Absolutely agonised. Part of me wanted to find that colour. I didn't have it and I was cross. But what I went with instead was something tonal. And I'm rather happy with my choice.
I think you should be. It looks really nice.
Isn't it gorgeous?
It's lovely.
Slate. That's what that is. Slate. We don't often have this. And look out on the website because we're just starting to load these cut to order. The plains.
Cool.
Please allow a little bit of extra time for delivery on those because obviously, you know, if millions of you suddenly go, yes, we want every single one cut to order, that's going to take a little bit of time. But we wanted to offer it to you. So just bear in mind that when you see these listed, when you get it, that name will be if you then search our website, www.natashamakes.com, that will be the same colour that you can then go on and buy as much as you like. So if there's a colour that you particularly love, you can get more of it. Now, I've got 2 of these left, not going to lie, only 2. I heart this very, very much. Look at that.
We love the stripe.
So much you can do with the stripe. Pair it with the orange. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And you know what? If it were me, do you know what I would be buying it with?
Oh, yeah.
I've only got 2 of these as well. But check out the end papers. Cave Facet Collective end papers. And this was one of those things. I thought, do I do this as a Fusion Friday? Because, yes. But I didn't know if you'd be scared of it or not. I mean, for me, that you've got all of these colours and it was just, look, that is pretty much that there. It's, yes.
Sometimes you get a fabric, don't you, and they just go so beautifully together, the colours, it's just, it's exciting.
So what I'm basically, what I'm really hoping is I've got 2 of these and I've got 2 of these and that's it. That's all I've got of them. Basically what I'm really hoping, and this is a gorgeous salt batik that it's coming with. Look. Ooh, gorgeous. Basically what I'm hoping is that whoever gets them gets both. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, but you know, come on guys, please. Now this, we had this on our very first Fusion Quilt Day. Do you remember?
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes. And we had a little bit left over after we'd finished making all the kits. Really not a lot.
beautiful woven.
This is Anna Maria Horner's headlines, and this is the evening headlines. Oh, winner!
It's lovely. Really pops it out.
Honestly,
it?
you should see Jane's grin.
Like Cheshire Cat.
Yeah. This made me so happy. Just getting that cut. Yes. Again, when this is gone, it's gone. Trying to get hold of fabrics right now is really tricky. Not gonna lie, really tricky. I've got 4 of these, and do you know what? This is Philip Jacobs for the K Facet Collective. Oh look, this is really towards the end of the bolt, isn't it? But look, only 4. That's it. That's all I've got.
So pretty.
So gorgeous. And then, oh, do you remember I was telling you about a new fabric that I'd got in, and it's from Michael Miller from their studios.
Oh, we love this one. It's so cute.
Jane, it is divine. Anyone that has ever read The Magic Faraway Tree, does that not remind you of all the little lands and planets and stuff that used to land at the top of the tree?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
you've
also got a feel of the Little Prince about it as well, the illustration.
Yeah, see, I never read that, so I don't know. I could not comment. But it's just joyful. And I love it very, very much. It is called City Hoppers. The actual designer is, Islands in the Sky. It's part of the City Hopper design. And Lisa Glanz. I don't know if there's more to her name because it's the end of the selvage. It might be like Glanzaroni or something, but as much as I've got, that's as much as I can give you. So, this is something I don't normally do. Well, today I've done it twice. I found the blue that I really love with it because it's sort of, every blue in this is different.
Yeah.
So
slightly,
I've just gone for like a good blue that sort of matches the balloon. And that's what it sort of pulls out for me. But the blues and the greens on top of every blue is different. So I went with that. The red, I tried it with the red. Too strong, too overpowering, too much. But the blue was really sweet. But then I thought, but what about those people that go, oh, but that's a bit for a boy then, isn't it? Well, I'd give you lavender. Because look, it's so pretty. And there, and there, and there, and there. And I just find the lavender.
Yeah.
So please love this because I do. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So that's your sneaky peek for Half Meter Heavens that go live at midnight tonight. Now, I promised you, did I not, some goodies for today. Did I not promise? I did promise. I promised that. So, what I have got, and then I will hand over to Jane. I'm very aware that time is ticking on. Oh, did you see what we've got back in stock? Well, not back in stock, because I couldn't get the other ones back in.
I saw those arrive yesterday. They look really good fun.
Yeah. These are your little magnetic-y slap on your wrist situations. Aren't they fun? And I've got a yellow, a pink, a purple and a green and a blue one. So it's going to be a lucky dip of colour. Mm-hmm. They come with a few pins on them, but they're just really handy. How many times do I do this and I'm doing something and then the pins are there? And actually I just need them here. And the nice thing about these is that you can just sort of do a sweep and pick them up. Saves time. Didn't they wear something like this on the sewing bee? I had one, the same one that they had off the sewing bee, and gave it to someone. They were like, oh, I really wanted one. And we'd run out of stock, so I gave them mine. And yeah, I might have to have one. I might have to treat myself, Jane.
Fall. Easy. Oh no.
Oh, what have I done? Step away. Just step away. Step away quietly and hope no one notices.
Yeah.
It's still standing at present. Right, I had a little rummage through the warehouse this morning. I have got 11.5 metres of this left. What is it, I hear you say? This is the K Facet quilt wool. Do you know this is his best-selling fabric ever?
It doesn't surprise me. It's
Out
so
of
useful.
all of the fabrics that he does, and it's his quilt wool, it's his grey flannel quilt wool with your 2-inch squares on, so you put it up on your wall there, and then it's like fuzzy felt for quilters.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe it. So you hang it up, and then you put your blocks up on there so that you can see, and he uses these, and when you see him with them, it's phenomenal, because he's just like, yeah, no, that's wrong colour. I've seen him use one in his home, and there's just debris at the bottom. Poor Brandon's like, I've got to clear that up, haven't I? I'm like, you know, maybe. But yeah, so I've got a little bit of this. If you don't have one, get it. And also, normally they come in like, is it a metre? They normally come in a box and whatnot. We do it cut to order for you, because I know a lot of you were buying multiples and stitching them together because you make bigger quilts.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's that. Now, also in the website, in the warehouse, and now on the website, I have got, I don't know where these were hiding, 3 of these batiks. Now I know, then that's it, that's gone then. I don't have any more of that sort of raspberry colour. You've got raspberry orange, sunshine yellow, and like an oceany whatever. But then that's it. So I've only got 3 of those. I think they're $18.99, half metres of all 4.
That's really good value.
Isn't it? I know you sigh at it, Jane, because you know I know you want it. Soz.
They're gorgeous colours. They're really zingy, aren't they?
They go with my top.
Citrus.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
they do.
Yeah. They are good, happy colours, for sure. And, oh, roar!
Oh, that's lovely.
If you have in your life someone who is super dinosaur obsessed, I do.
We know a man, a little young man that quite
and
likes his dinosaurs.
My daughter, you'll be driving home from school and she'll be in the back of the car going, it's a house cloud dinosaur. And you're like, what? And Freddie just looks at me and goes, humour her. I'm like, okay. Yep, dinosaur.
There's a dinosaur.
Dinosaur. So these are dinosaurs that you cut out and stuff. And you've got a volcano there if you want to stuff that as well. But yeah, double dinosaurs basically.
Look at that little pillow front as well with the roar on it.
I know, it's beautiful. All able to be cut out. You've got your cut lines and everything on there. So if you've got, and you've got 2 there. So if you've got, I think these are £7.50. Elsewhere they're about £9.99. So we've put them on the deals page for you. And when they're gone, they're gone.
They're really good for young sewers as well, because they're really easy to follow the instructions.
Good thinking, Batman. So if you do
Project
have
to
someone,
make yourself, you know, with your grandchildren or your children.
it's got full instructions as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me give you a little close-up of the dinosaur. So there's all of your raw pillow, dinosaur, volcano, and look, so that's how they cut them out. So actually, Freddie could cut this out, couldn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Easily.
Yeah.
Or I might get one and do it with him. And it even tells you which bit to leave open. Ready for stuffing. And if you need stuffing, we've got that on the website as well. We will get there, by the way. We're getting there, Jane. Sorry. Chatting away. Last couple of things to show you. It is worth it because blenders.
Always need a good blender.
It's vital, isn't it? Now, I found these and I thought I would get them for you. They're called Veneer. And I've put them on an amazing introductory price for you. I think they're $16.99 something for all of those. Half meters of each. But again, it's like the salt batiks, isn't it, Jane?
$16.99 for 2 meters of fabric.
think so. I think that's what they put them up at this morning.
It's a crazy price.
Yeah. So, is that too crazy?
It's a very good bargain.
Oh, okay. So, I thought it sounded fair.
You're nice like that, I know.
Yeah. So you've got, they call this one on the end black, but you know, it goes through greys and blue, browns and all sorts.
Well,
and
it reminded me of tree bark.
Yeah, me too.
Said, oh, that looks like tree bark.
Really interesting. And then you've got your turquoise. This one's called slate, but all the blues. And then you've got pink there. Again, if you don't have a colour that's exactly the same, or you just want something to give it a bit of a lift or a bit of interest, go with one of these. And yeah, you can buy them in a bundle. And that was where I went with that. And then I've also got cut to order. This was just the last of a series that I had left over, and for one reason or another this just never got put into a project. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's Joe Morton. It's for Moda.
It's lovely.
£5.5 metre.
Crazy price.
Yeah, but I've got that and one other from the whole series. Yeah. I can't make a quilt with just that, but I tell you what, if you want this for relatively cheap backing fabric.
Yeah, it's really good for backing.
Or if you want
Moda fabric for backing.
To be blenders or whatever it is that you need it to be.
Nice binding.
Yeah.
Nice stripy binding.
It's really useful because it's neutral. And this was the other one. So look, we've got them. We've used this collection for so many different things. So you've got like the opposite of each there. And that's where it is. And again, these are going to be £5.5 metre, cut to order, however much you want, so that if you do want to back your quilts with it, then do. And this is the same, just that I don't have necessarily a project in mind for them. So if you can use them at home, then...
That would make beautiful bag lining.
Wouldn't it?
It's a gorgeous colour. It's such a soft, sort of bluey grey, isn't it?
I love paisley, which was why I went for it. And then I wasn't quite sure what project we had coming up soon to use it in, but use it as a blender, use it for all sorts of different things. And also I didn't manage to get enough for a whole project either, so I was like, do you know what, you guys can have that £5.5 metre. Again, this is Moda fabric.
Crazy.
Yeah, told you it was worth my rantings, wasn't it? My ramblings, my wafflings. There you go. That is my offerings for you this morning. And Half Meat Heavens got at midnight tonight. And I'm going to go and sit over there and let Jane take over here. I'm going to pop... where am I going to pop these? Well, I appear to be trying to send myself stars. Whoops. Sorry, Jane. There goes your new... Oh, Jane's got a new rotary cutter that I've just thrown on the floor.
Show them that.
When I... It would be fair to say, Jane, that I did buy it with you in mind.
Yes, and it worked.
And you knew it because...
I was like, can I have one of those when the delivery came? Can I
You'll
use
see it in a
this
minute.
one?
I've knocked it, but I won't pick it up because it's your one.
It's okay.
You see, that's the nice thing, isn't it, about lockdown? You get all your own stuff. You don't have to share anything.
That's true. Yeah, I can't touch that. It's mine.
Mine. Morning, Donna.
Morning, everybody.
Oh, you could even use it as a dinosaur applique. Yes,
you could. Yeah, that's a good idea. Got a thread coming through on there. We go pull that back through.
Oh,
there
Karen's got her hands on some salt batik.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, it's Laurie who's thinking that it would make a nice dinosaur applique. Yes, it would.
It would,
yes, it would.
You could do a straightforward, bond it, cut it out, sew it on, zigzag around it.
Lo wonders if her 32-year-old son would want one. He used to love dinosaurs. I mean, yeah. Do boys ever grow out of that? Do boys ever grow up? I mean, that's the other question.
Well, we had this conversation the other day, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
They don't.
Freddie has found his own bodily wind hilarious recently. That was what we were, and I was just going, oh, come on. He did something, didn't he? And he just found it hilarious. Yeah. And you told me that's just boys.
Yeah.
Inga tried to tell me they would grow up.
They don't grow out of that. They think that's hilarious.
Always. Jess is mother of boys. She'll know this.
Yeah.
She'll understand. Morning, Jess. Jane, what we got today then?
Right, we're doing block 6. We haven't forgotten block 4. We haven't. The fabric is on the way. I've spoken to the supplier and he's assured me that it'll be here for next month.
Do you know what?
Don't worry. If it doesn't come, we'll do something else equally as gorgeous, but we won't forget it, so don't worry.
The situation at the moment is the ports are...
They're just inundated.
They don't know what to do with themselves. Less is being air freighted.
Yeah, well, they just can't get the air freight, can you, these at the moment? It's all going via ship and it's, well, yeah, they're busy anyway, but now they're doubly as busy and they're working within restrictions, so...
Yeah. So it's all a little bit weird, but we are hearing this from suppliers time after time after time.
Yeah.
It is the same story that things are delayed. The Tilda, we're still waiting on one of the Tildas to come in. Meant to be here yesterday. They've now put it back to March. And you go, it will be here.
Yes.
And I still have a list of everybody that's owed it. But it just, we're being told one thing and then it's being changed. But so apologies. It's the world we live in at the moment, but you know, it'll get
how it is. It's just the way things go at the moment, and we're all aware of it. We've all had experience of it in some form or another, haven't we? You know, with everyday life. So, yeah, we're just being patient as we can be.
Well, everyone thinks you look lovely in red today.
Well, thank you very much.
Here we go.
Yeah, so this is block 6. Now, there's a lot of seams in block 6 because the plan was that we were gradually going to get a little bit more complicated as we went on. So, in theory, this was the last but one block that we were going to be doing. It's not anything that we haven't done before. It's half square triangles, flying geese units, 3/4 triangle units, and the classic 4 patch in the middle. There are a few mistakes in the pattern. There's a surprise. I think we have by now sent out an amendment form to you via email, but I think we will print off one and send it with next time's block as well, so you've got a paper copy to stick in with your pattern for future reference.
It's one of those things that when there's one mistake in it, it just seeps through into the others.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, but there we go. I'm sorry.
No, don't be silly, don't be silly. What I would say is just try and do the cutting with us. Try and wait and watch the show. And, you know, we are sorry. We are also human.
Yeah,
and these things...
We try our best, but some things... And we're going to put procedures in place now to get somebody else to try and read through the pattern. Because I read through it, but of course I've written it, so I know what I mean. So... sometimes it's not obvious to me that there's a glaring error in it, and it's lovely that we've got customers that you know, get in touch with and say, "Oh, have you noticed that there's this in here?" And we're very grateful for that. So thank you.
But yeah, we will. And what was the other thing I was going to say about it? Oh, I can't remember. It's so hard. So we spell check them. We check them for grammar. We check them for everything else. We check them for, and also because they don't just come from you. They then go on to our designer and our graphic designer, Josh. And so there's another room for error there. The more times it gets fiddled with by people, there's more room for error. So we apologise and we will put it right as we always do.
You know, we're learning as we go. We are still only 12 months old, aren't we? You know, we've only just reached our first anniversary. So as we're doing things, we are learning as we go. So, you know, you're being very good and bearing with us and helping us in a way by pointing these things out, which is always nice to know, because there's nothing worse than getting a pattern, making it, and then finding it doesn't go together because all the instructions aren't quite right. That's very frustrating and a waste of fabric. So, yeah. Right, so we'll start with the 4 patch in the middle, which is sewing 2 strips together, 2.5 wide strips, and then we're going to subcut those 2 strips into 2 2.5 inch units. And as always, I line on my ruler with the seam line between the strips, just because I know that that's a straight line. I'm using my new rotary cutter. It's a Friscar's cutter. It's just pretty. Like a bit of floral, a bit of turquoise and a bit of pink. It's lovely.
Sorry, I've gone quiet because Gemma's just said she's just queried a price on the Cafe wall. It's being loaded as we speak. So there are people saying, I can't find it. Where is it? I can't find it. Can't find it. It's getting there.
It's there.
Bear with. It's being loaded, and we'll let you know when it is.
And we've pressed the seams to one side so that when we put those two pieces together, the seams nestle nicely, which gives us nice crisp matching points in the middle. We work throughout with a 1/4 inch seam. I think we've made 4 patches often enough for us all to know how I like to do them, with the sewing 2 strips together and then subcutting them up. Now we're going to use the unpicker and we'll do our little twiddly bit in the middle.
I always forget there's an unpicker in there and go searching everywhere.
I love the machines when they've got that little box in the front and it's full of all feet and little bits. So
and
I
not
just
snacks, Gemma. Gemma thinks it should be full of snacks.
Yeah, for your M&Ms. I just unpick the 2 stitches up to the seam line on both sides, and then when I come to press that, press it, set the seam, then we open it out, turn it over, and one side will lift up and one will go down, and it just reduces the bulk in the middle of the 4 patch. That's all it's for, no other reason. Just that if you were quilting in a diagonal across there, when you get to that point, you haven't got 4 layers of fabric that you're sewing over, you're just sewing over 2, and it's nice and smooth and less bumpy.
Oh, Janet says, Jane, no need to apologise. So happy to see your demonstration. When did the email get sent regarding the errors? Not seen anything yet.
It may not be there yet, might it? I'm not sure.
It's either been sent or being sent.
It's in the process, as they say.
Yes. And Ali says, don't beat yourself up.
I try not to, but you know,
we are family, and don't hold it against you.
Oh, bless your heart. You are so lovely.
You are all fabulous. In the way that you look after us. So a little whoops every now and again isn't a problem. Oh,
that's nice. Right, so we've got...
Jojo says, sits in the corner, red face, whilst Jane says, I think we've done enough 4 patches for you to know how to do them.
I don't know. I don't want to make an assumption, but I do tend to use 4 patches quite a lot, and there are a lot in our Seastorm quilt. I love 4 patches. I love how they work and how you can use them within your patterns. Would
you like to just very quickly just recap how you did it, just because Jojo's starting out her quilting journey?
Oh right, Jo, sorry, I shouldn't assume that we're all at the same level, and I forget that even though we're doing a block of the month which people are following, there are still new people coming in.
And you can buy, if you just love the block, you can just buy the block and make a cushion.
Yes.
Or, repeats of.
Yeah. So, Jojo, we've cut from the width of fabric. I mean, obviously I've cut some off this already, but it would be salvage to salvage, width of fabric, 2.5 inches wide strips. One of fabric, I can't remember the letters, fabric G and fabric D. That's D, that's G. So a light and dark traditionally with 4 patch, so you've got that good contrast. So we sew them together with a 1/4 inch seam along the long edge, lining it up. Obviously on the other side of this end I lined up the salvages and then sewed down, but you quite often find that your fabric is different lengths even when it comes from the same range, so don't worry if it doesn't meet at the end. You would then trim off your salvage. So as I say, I like to line up the long edge of my ruler, not the long edge, the line in the middle of my ruler with the seam line so that I know I've got a straight line. Slide it down until you're at the edge of your salvage at the side. Trim that off and then turn it back round. And if you've got the stripology, you can whiz down a length of 2 strips together in no time at all. But then I've got 2.5 inches, and that's because I use 2.5 inches in my strips. Whatever width my strip is, to get squares, I then cut the same, subcut it into the same size units.
Susan says you can't see this tip too often. It's true, isn't it? It's one of those really useful things, because if you use this, you can do entire borders, can't you?
Yes.
Beautifully.
4 patches. You can mix a 4 patch with a plain fabric or a nice, if you've got one of the big pattern fabrics, like a nice cape or one that you want to fussy cut.
Like a half-metre heaven, Jane.
Yeah, like, where are they? Where
They're on the side over there behind. It's behind you.
That beautiful blue one there with that yellow, just grab that. If you wanted to, you could have a 4-patch and you could fussy cut like that size square out.
Oh, nice.
And just put, you know, 4, I mean, that's not the right colours to go with that, but 4 patches alternating with a pattern.
Yeah.
Makes a beautiful quilt.
Beautiful.
Simplicity sometimes works really well. You know, sometimes it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Some of the simplest quilts look absolutely stunning.
Oh, Matty from Michigan is watching. Morning.
Hello.
Oh, is it morning in Michigan?
I don't know how far away they are and what their time difference is. It might be
they're
the
a long way
evening.
away. Might be. Well,
be
just
their
go,
evening.
hi.
Good day.
Blanket, hello. Oh, Claire's enjoying the new overhead camera. It's great, isn't it? But it does mean that
So to keep my head out the way, I could.
it's root cam.
Yeah.
That's the trouble.
As I said, you just turn. You've got your 2 pieces, your units. They come out like that, and you turn one 180 degrees, so it's facing. So they're opposites facing each other, and then you would join them with your 1/4-inch seam.
It's one of those things that.
And if you're doing lots, of course, you can chain piece it at this point. You know, you can just do a whole row of them. They're quite a quick. This method saves you cutting out lots of individual squares, and it's quite a quick way of making 4 patches.
It also makes it look like you've worked much harder than you actually have.
If I go close up then with the twiddle for, what's the lady's name?
Jojo.
So it's unpicking those couple of stitches there. There might be 1, there might be 2, there might not even be any by the time you cut it and moved it around. So both sides, undoing those stitches. And what I will do is I would press that flat and then press it open like so, and then go back and with the iron, tip of the iron, just push that one up. It'll only go one way, and one goes up and one goes down, and it only does it if you've got your seams pressed to the one side, and you end up with that lovely neat little 4-patch in the middle on the back as well, which nobody will ever see, but
oh, it seems
doesn't
a
matter.
shame. It's one of those things. Oh,
but it
6
gives you a
hours.
nice meeting point there.
6 hours bring us to Michigan.
All right.
There we go.
So it's the afternoon, early afternoon tea time.
Oh, it feels like it is already.
It does for you. You've been up so long, it's like dinner time for you.
I know.
Right, so there we are. That's the 4-patch for the middle. Okay, so now we're going to make the flying geese units, which make these units here in the middle.
Oh, let's have a
of
look.
the 9-patch.
Bring them in.
Down.
Bring them in for your new angle.
So, yeah, there we go. We've got a flying geese unit there and then another flying geese unit there. So, traditionally, we've always used the same colour either side of our flying geese unit, but we're going to change it round. But we're still going to use the no waste method of doing the units. So, we need to, with our fabric D and our fabric N, all these lovely little bags with all the, we need 2 N's and we need 2 G's. I think
You are so organised.
got that right? Yes, I think
I
so.
say Ali says that, yeah, I love the tip of Jane's unpicking those few stitches. It makes it the finish so much flatter. You really wouldn't think, would you, that
No, it's
it
amazing,
would make that much
actually.
of a difference, but it truly does.
Yes, it's 4, all 4. You've got 4 here and 4 of those.
Lo's calling it stitchy witchy question time this morning.
I've just realised that I haven't got the right amount of fabric. I've brought it with me, but I just haven't put it in the bag, so.
Oh, Jojo says, thank you for
later on.
showing me that again, Jane.
That's
I've watched
fine.
many of your shows, but I wasn't a quilter. I didn't pay too much attention. Whoops, sorry. Love the tip about unpicking those few stitches. Definitely hadn't picked up on that before. I'll sit quietly and watch now. Look, you ask questions.
It's good
This
because
is for everyone.
this is what it's about. You know, if you want to see something, if I've not explained it quite clearly enough for you, ask me again. It's important that if you're going to be doing this, that you understand the methods, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, what I'm trying to explain to you, and there's never a silly question.
Hang on, they're 6 hours behind in Michigan.
Oh right, so it's early hours of the morning.
Early.
Natasha time.
Helen says, can't wait to start the blocks for this quilt. Just had to finish my block keeper later today. Ooh, do it. So my question is, Helen, because Helen's husband Steve has decided he is now going to sew.
All right, that's nice.
Jane, imagine sharing your sewing space.
Maybe not so nice then.
Um,
it's like your retreat, isn't it? It's like your own little zone, and then somebody else comes in it.
I'm sure he will be great
I'm sure
fun.
He's lovely.
Yeah. Do you know what we have a big love for Steve, Helen's husband, in an appropriate way, obviously. Yeah, he sends us funny emails. We like it.
Lovely.
What you doing, Jane?
So we're placing these 2 7/8 inch squares on right sides together in opposite corners. This is fabric M and this is fabric D. So we're just placing those on top, opposite corners, and there will be an overlap in the middle, and you want as best you can to get that line to run straight through from corner to corner. And we're going to sew 1/4 inch either side of that line. We need to do the same with a block A as well. So I'm going to do them at the same time. In the pattern it tells you to do it one at a time, but because it's exactly the same way, I'm going to chain piece these and do them both together at the same time.
Angela, who's just placed her first order, thank you so much, Angela, says, what pen are you using? Now,
that is a fade away one.
Yeah, it's...
It doesn't really matter on this occasion because we're going to cut on this line. Now, I will say that the fade away and the wash away pens that we have, if you iron them, the line becomes permanent. So don't draw on them if you're then going to have a line in that's going to be seen and you might catch it with your iron. It doesn't matter in this case because if I ironed that and it became permanent, I'm going to cut along the line anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I love these pens because they're fibre tipped and so they run smoothly.
If you are after new pens, our pen order, I had a notification this morning that order is arriving today. So as soon as it arrives, we will unload it and stick it up on the website for you. And if you do end up buying now and then later on thinking, oh, but I want to add something to my order, as long as it's within the same day, just drop us an email to info@natashamakes.com. Don't send it to my Facebook page, for goodness sakes, because I don't pick it up and you'll be going, oh, customer service is dreadful. No, info@natashamakes.com, and then customer service is great because you'll get SJ and she'll sort it out for you.
Yeah,
but if you try and send me a Facebook message about it, then it just gets lost. I can't guarantee anything. Do you have to, Jane, do anything with your needle, or are you just going 1/4 inch either side?
Just doing 1/4 inch either side, because on this machine we're able to set our 1/4 inch with a button that moves the needle across. I'm using the edge of my foot as a guide, and I use the edge of the foot against that line. So just bringing it down, just bringing my needle down so I'm just on the fabric, and then dropping my foot. There we go.
I mean, I don't think that Lo wants Jeff to start sewing. She says, I'd break his fingers if he wanted to start sewing. I mean, it's a little extreme.
Yeah, a little bit.
But, I think maybe just the threat would put him off. You'd be fine.
I don't think I've got any worries about Glenn wanting to start doing it because he's very, I don't know how you have the patience.
Yeah, no, Stephen's the same. He's like, I don't know what goes on in there, but okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. Gemma says that the K Facet quilt wall is now on the website. Guys, I've only got 11.5 metres of it, so it is fastest finger wins on that, I'm afraid. But it is up there. Oh, Helen says no, he's not allowed. He's not allowed in. He has the dining room table. Oh, that's okay then. We were worried that he was going to be like sat next to you, sewing in unison. You know, like you play the piano.
Sewing,
yes, that's it. Tandem sewing.
Has he got his own machine then?
I don't know if he's got his own machine. Oh, Helen, you're going to have to show your machine. Oh dear. Or are you giving him your old one? Just got some paisley for him to make a cravat.
Oh,
I love
that's
that
a
this is,
lovely
you know,
idea.
going all out on his first make. He won't stop going on about your kindness. Oh, we sent him. So, when I must email him back actually. When we found out that that he was going to sew, we sent him a little starter kit.
Oh, that's nice.
We had great fun, Gemma and I, rummaging through the warehouse. We were like kids. Yeah.
Everything that you need to get started. How
Ali
lovely.
said ditto if Paul said the same. Sewing is my sanctuary. God, I tell you what, you don't want to upset these little women that have sharp, pointy things everywhere, do you?
No.
Crikey.
No,
Crikey.
you don't.
Yep, Claire says, same with my husband. He can sit for hours watching football, but doesn't understand I get the same pleasure sewing for hours on end. At least you've made something productive at the end of it. I don't understand the whole football thing.
We've sewn 1/4 inch either side of those lines now, and I'm just going to cut along that marked line now to make 2 large triangles, which look very strange. And if you know what a flying geese unit is, traditionally we've always made it previously with a rectangle and 2 squares.
Yeah.
But you get a little bit of waste there, and it's usually just that bit too big that you don't want to throw it in away. You think, oh, I could do something with that, but it's not very often that you do. But this method doesn't give you any waste. You use a large square and 4 small squares, and you have no waste.
This is the bit where I get confused.
And so you end up, you press the triangles up and away from the larger triangle. So the 2 small triangles you've created, up and away. And again, just be careful because they are biased edges. Best press your fabric as much as you can before you start, just because it gives you that stability with your fabric, particularly when you're working with biased edges. So they look like little hearts, I think, now at this point, and you're thinking, well, that doesn't look anything like a flying geese unit. What's going on there?
I mean, they look really pretty, to be fair. They do look
Yes,
very pretty.
they do.
And you have made a beautiful, beautiful heart cushion for us, haven't you, for
Yes.
next week?
Yes, we've got some. I was going to bring that in and I forgot.
I'll go grab it in a minute.
Yes, so now we've got the fabric. Let me just check, it's fabric N. Yeah, it's fabric N square that we've marked the diagonal on. And we're placing that in that right angle of the large triangle there, with the line facing upwards between the 2 smaller triangles. And we'll just line those up in the middle of that there. It fits nicely. It will overlap, that's your seam allowance. Don't panic that you've cut your squares too big, because you're sort of sewing into mid-air at one point, but it's fine, it's how it should be. Just secure those with pins so they don't move, because they do like to move as you take them to your machine.
Lo says, does the best press stop it getting dragged into the machine when working with dinky bits? Yes. What I would say is I've got some Starch Savvy arriving hopefully today. And that is one of the things that they pride themselves on. And with Starch Savvy, you can layer it up. So if you have got inky dinky bits, you can really make it super, super, super sturdy with it. So maybe that might be the better one for you, because you can kind of build that one up. Actually, I've never tried building up the best press. I guess you could with that as well.
Yeah, I was going to say the more you put on it, the stiffer it will go.
But certainly that's...
But I think you're better off doing it in layers, like a fine mist, press it, and then do another fine mist, rather than saturating your fabric with it.
And allow it to settle into the fibres as well before you press it. That's the other thing.
And you can find when it's new fabric and it's just come straight and you haven't washed it beforehand, and that's a whole nother debate of whether you wash your fabric before you use it or not.
Oh, don't get us started, eh, Jane?
Who's got time to wash the fabric? So yeah, you might find it's a little bit resistant at first, but once you get the heat on it, it comes in. Just give it time to absorb into the fabric. So we're going to sew 1/4 inch either side. And again, you can chain piece these, so you can go all down one side on all your pieces, and then just turn around and go back up the other way.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Steve's been given Helen's workshop machine. He's not allowed anywhere near her new beast. No, 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 no. Only very special people get that. Oh, Claire, no, I didn't see the video. Oh, I'll have to have a look at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Claire was really clever. She used her patchwork to help her son work out his shapes and
No, I didn't
things.
see it.
It
I'll
was-
have to.
Yeah, it's clever because you sort of mixed in him helping her with her quilt with his maths,
Perfect.
fractions
Cross-curricular.
and all sorts of things.
Cross-curricular activities. That's how
Yeah.
maths should be taught, in my
Definitely.
view. Very clever. Well done, you. That's the way to learn, and they don't know they're learning then, which is even better.
Yeah, I think particularly with maths, the more fun you can make it, the easier it's absorbed, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We used to play when, you know, driving out in the car was a thing. We used to just add up or take away or multiply the numbers on number plates,
Yeah,
and especially if it's a long journey, that would you know,
relieve the monotony a little
pass
bit.
a bit of time.
And baking as well is another good one for your maths. You know, adding
Oh,
the
yeah.
ingredients together.
That's
working out how
ratios,
much-
isn't it?
Yeah.
For sure. Carol says, morning all from Bristol. Someone just mentioned a block keeper. Have you demoed this, Natasha? And if so, could you tell me what date? Oh, yes, we have done a block keeper. And I did demo it. I demoed it here. I demoed it on Hochanda.
Yes, it's
I-
beautiful tulle fabric.
I have demoed it all over the place. Gosh, if you send an email to info@natashamakes.com, SJ's got a list of all of the shows when we did them. Off the top of my head, I don't even know what day it is. To be honest, it's all a bit of a blur, isn't it,
Yeah,
Jane?
well, I think most days at the moment are just blurring into one, aren't they? We're all getting a little bit like, it's Groundhog Day.
What day is it? What day is it?
So we're going to, now we've sewn either side of there, we're going to cut along that marked line again. So yeah, just lining your ruler up with the marked line and cutting up and away. Always cut away from yourself.
Oh, with your new rotary cutter.
With my new rotary cutter that blends in beautifully with my fabrics that I'm using today.
Lo said, cocktail morning is perfect for ratios.
Maybe not with children, Lo.
Well, didn't she just say that her son was 32?
Yeah,
That's fine. He can join in.
we can join them,
That's
yeah.
fine. That's fine.
Okay.
20th of October. There you go. Oh, well done you. Helen, how do you know that? Goodness me. You're all good. I love Jane's method of doing flying geese units, probably because I always loved geometry. Good spatial awareness, useful when reversing tractor and trailer. That is so true.
Yeah.
So true. Do you know what? I still struggle with reversing with trailers.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you sort of have to go the opposite way, don't you?
You do.
Somehow.
And yet when
It's
it
not
comes...
something I've ever had to do, fortunately. So.
Oh, haymaking, absolutely, yeah. And the year that I was very pregnant with Emily, I had to drive the tractor, and it was very bumpy, very bumpy. And I was like, let's hope she, you know, stays in.
Stays there where
Yep.
she should be for now.
Yep. Hang on in there. Yeah, it was very, very hot up in that cab. I think I did all of the haymaking in my pyjamas because A, nothing else fit, and B, it was the coolest thing I had to wear. It was awful. But yeah, and I still can't reverse a tractor and trailer. I'm still pretty dreadful at it. So I think there's just no hope for me on that.
You can see here you've now got 4 flying geese units, and you'll have 2 that the fabric N is on the left hand side and 2 with the fabric N on the right hand side, and that works. And the same with the A's. Now if you find when you've pressed it back that the one triangle just sits up a little bit from the other one, you can trim it. If you or I wouldn't recommend unpicking it, is what I'm trying to say. And just make sure that here, from that point of the flying geese part, the large triangle, that you've got 1/4 of an inch there. So if it really annoys you, just trim it off, just so it's not going to affect you when you're doing your seams. And if you want to trim off the ears at this point, you can do that as well. The little bits that are sticking up. Again, some people like to keep them in because it helps them line up things, and other people just don't want them. And you don't have to use your ruler for that. You can just use your scissors and just snip them off like that. Just makes a lot of mess everywhere because they go everywhere when you snip them. They just
That's
fly
all right.
across
That's
the
why we
room.
have a beautiful Hoover.
So yeah, you can do that. You can also trim off those ones at the side if you want to. If you feel it'll help you with everything that you do. So you're going to have now, you're going to take one of your flying geese units with fabric M and one with fabric A, and you're going to place them points together of the large triangles, but so that you've got opposite colours. So N goes that way and D goes that way. I think it's D. Yeah, D. And then you're going to line them up. Now at this point you might want to take a pin and just pop it through the point of the one flying geese and then pop it through the point of the other one, just because you don't want to lose those points. So if you get those lined up, just making sure that your pin's going through straight, and then just pivot that down and just feel with your fingers the two seams are lying on top of each other, just so that's staying together. And you've also got, and I'll show you on one of these ones, if we can go on a close-up, Natasha. When you actually come to sew your seam across there, you've got like a little X marks the spot here. So you want your seam to run just above that, so you don't lose the point of your flying geese on your triangles units there. So just make sure that when you're sewing, you can see that little X and that you're running on just on the inside of that. Just so it helps you.
Patricia says, I must have a go at flying geese. I keep putting it off, but you make it look so simple. This is, I get to the heart bit and then forget how it's all going to come together.
Yeah, it does look, you get halfway through and you're like, this is a bit strange. It
I
doesn't look
get halfway
like
through and then think it's going to have a Y seam or something, and panic, but it doesn't. It's all good.
It doesn't, and you're all good with it.
Pam says that we help her keep track of the days. Do you know what? If we didn't have these shows, I would be exactly the same.
Yes.
I honestly wouldn't know.
We're all pretty much doing the same thing day in, day out, aren't we? And particularly now we're homeschooling as well.
All good
We're
fun.
not even got oh, right, we're going to school today, it's Monday or whatever. It's just, it all gets a little bit.
Karen says every day is sew day. That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine.
That helps.
I think it's giving some people an insight into what retirement will be like.
Yeah.
For good or ill.
Yeah.
There it is.
And some of us are loving it because we can. We've got hobbies that absorb our days, and it's just taking away, something to occupy you takes away the worry a little bit.
Oh, John says, ooh, I love this block, Jane. You are so clever. Love the quilt. The quilt is just divine. There's no two ways about it, for sure.
It is.
Yeah, Jojo puts hands up, loves this block. Would it be a good idea to make a cushion first rather than the whole quilt, or should I put my big girl pants on and go for it?
I would say go for it, but as a teacher, probably, have a go at doing the block first, see how you get on, rather than, cut straight into your fabric for your quilt.
How many different colours would she need?
For this block here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colours, including the background. Okay. But you wouldn't have to use 6. You could get away with 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 5. 5 colours. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. Because you've got a different colour there to give that effect of the square floating. Yeah. But you could use a background there. You wouldn't have to use a different colour.
Oh, decisions. Oh, there you go. SJ's a star. Found me the Whippet cushion video for me. Didn't want to disturb her looking for Mrs. H's bag last year, so looked up my account and look when I purchased the pattern. Hey ho, got the video. Ah, you see, that's thinking outside the box, that is. Well done, Myra.
That's good. There's all ways of finding us, isn't there? You can go onto YouTube and put in Natasha Makes and what it is that you want to find, and it comes up as well.
I always forget about that, actually. Yeah, that is the other option, isn't it? So we just chain piece all of these?
We're chain piecing them together just because that will save us time and it's easy to do. Just making sure that I've got my points together and lining up my seam. in theory, if you slap the two blocks on top of each other, the two units on top of each other, it should work, but you know.
Theory and reality.
Yeah, we all know how that works.
I love the honesty. John, how was your retreat? That's what we want to know. When we left John the other day, he was off to do a retreat.
Oh yes, he was doing
a virtual retreat,
wasn't he?
Was it good? Was it good fun? We just finished off cutting up the last of all of the quilt kits for you, John, and they will all be posted out. It's been epic, all the cutting.
Yeah, certainly has. Now there isn't a twiddle on this. Now you might want to press your seams open. It's not something that I do, and I don't actually like pressing my seams open, just because it exposes that line of stitch, particularly when you're quilting. But you have got quite a bit of bulk there where it joins. But there isn't a little twiddle on this one that you can do. So you're going to end up with 4 of these units, and I'm just pressing them to the one side, and I'm pressing them all in the same direction, and just to the white side, not necessarily for any reason other than I'm just making sure they're all going the same way.
I see Myra said that she tried that, Jane, and couldn't get it. This is on YouTube. You see, I'm with you, Myra. I think that some people just have better luck with search engines and stuff like that.
I think sometimes you have to scroll through, but if you put Natasha Makes and then, you know, like, what was it, Block Keeper?
Yeah.
You might come up with other things as well for Natasha Makes. It would help if you knew what day it was done on.
Yeah, I think that's all they need. That's all they need to know is just the date.
So you're going to have 4 blocks here that have got opposite, you know, they've got different size units on them, different size of the colours. It's all in the pattern as to which orientation, but these are the blocks that go here.
You see, actually, just a cushion out of that as a block is lovely. They're gorgeous.
So that's 2 flying geese put together. So the next one is the corner block, and this is where I'm just going to have to go, unless you wouldn't mind passing me that box that's up in the corner there, just because it's got my spare bits in. Thank you.
Thank you. There you go.
Just in here I have.
John says that his retreat was incredible. 42 ladies all laughing and having a great weekend. Was amazing. And all for just £35. Is that it? They loved it. Doing more going forward. I don't blame you. I do not blame you at all. That sounds phenomenal. I still can't get my head around how that would work. And John said, is there any snippets left? Yes, John, there is a little bit. Did you want some? Otherwise, it will go up by the ½ metre later.
That's it. Yeah, there we go. So now we're going to do this corner unit here. Those are that one, and those are that one.
Hang on, which one? Let's get it in there.
Let's move it out the way. Move those ones out the way. That's the middle. Those are the 4 middle pieces. So we're going to do this corner and that corner. So there's 2 of these units in the corner, and it's a square with 2 half square triangles and then a larger half square triangle over the top. So this is fabric D.
Yeah, that looks quite complicated.
And I've cut these squares in half already, and you'll notice that I've got into the selvage there, which I think is why I threw it in the box thinking, oh, I've cut those wrong, but I do need them. So we'll work with it. We'll probably get away without showing the selvage on these. So we're going to cut 2 of the squares, 2 of these squares, fabric N, in half. Just cut them with the ruler, line the ruler up point to point, across the diagonal, like so, and then just cut through them. Okay, so that you end up with 4 half square triangles, preferably without a bit of selvage showing. And we're going to sew these to the sides of the square, so it forms a half square triangle.
Very clever.
So the first thing to do is to line up the right angle side of the triangle with your square, and sew across what would be across the top.
Okay.
Just down one side. At this point it doesn't matter really which side you sew down, because it's not going to affect it. So if you feel more comfortable with sewing the straight edge, starting at the corner of the square and sewing down rather than starting at the point and sewing down. You can do that at this point.
John's got bags on the brain. He thinks that this would make a gorgeous side to a bag.
Yes.
This block, just this block on its own. He said
you
it's
could
such a
frame
clever.
it and the straps and everything, yes.
Yeah, he says it's such a clever block.
And so we press those up and away from the square. And again, just take care because you are working on a bias on this edge. So just try and press on that bit there rather than doing that with your iron, which might just stretch your fabric slightly. So you're then going to place the next triangle and just make sure that it's going to form the half square triangle, and you're sewing across and down. So it needs to go that way, so you've got a straight line there, and then it goes right sides together.
I just keep double checking myself because it's amazing how these things move
Yes,
and twist,
they
and
do.
you sew the wrong side between there and the machine, and it shouldn't be. It's a matter of inches, Jane,
Yeah,
and
it
yet
just happens. And also, you know, if you want to pin it, pin it. The beauty of this is they're only short seams if you need to unpick it.
Jess says, just switched on a bit late, but my jingo, I do love those blues.
They are lovely.
I don't think I've ever, I can't remember the last time I heard someone say by jingo. But thank you for bringing us that saying again.
It's lovely. And again, we're going to press those up and away from the square.
Yes, Angela, I am on Hochanda tomorrow. I am on at 7 a.m, 10 o'clock, and possibly another one. Who knows? Who knows?
And so, yes, you've got a little overlap there, and that's what you want because it's your seam allowance. Now you can see on that one it's a little bit down, but I'm not going to worry about it because when I put the triangles together, again, I'll be looking at that X marks the spot. So I'll show you in a minute about lining up, how you line it up just to make sure that it's square. So you'll have 2 units like that. You then take your C fabric, and that's the square there. I don't think how big that is. 4 7/8. And again, we're going to cut this in half to make 2 half square triangles, just along that diagonal line. And then we place these triangles right sides together. Now I would suggest that you put the one with all the pieces on top of the C triangle, and you can line that up, just line it up in that corner there so that we know that that lining is lined up there. So we can see that we're in that corner there and these straight edges are lined up. So we can see now, I can see a bit of fabric C under there. So I will line that up when I'm sewing. I'll just line the edge of my foot up against that fabric C, just so that I'll know that that disappears into the seam line, just where that's gone under a little bit. It's not enough to worry about. It's less than about 2 threads. So, you know, it's only if it's more than 1/4 of an inch that you have to look at it again and think, something's gone wrong there. I need to adjust that. And again, we're just chain piecing these because it's quick and it's easy to do. Just remember that you are working on a bias, so try not to pull it. Let the machine feed it through. Let the feed dogs do the work for you. Don't try and pull it through because you'll stretch your biased edge. And then it won't fit in, it won't sit straight.
Jess has backed up her by jingo with cripes, Natasha.
Excuse me.
I love this. It's like we've gone back to, what was that, like 1950s or something?
Enid Blyton.
Brilliant. The days of Enid Blyton. Of course, of course.
And we're just pressing up onto the seam underneath the fabric C, just because it's a straight piece there and less bulk. So I always have the fabric that I want the seam to go underneath on the top. Just set the seam, and then again, just because it's a biased edge, very carefully just push that up and just using the tip of the iron just to make sure that it's lying flat and then press it. Don't do that with your iron just because you'll stretch your biased edge. So that's the 2 corner units there, like so.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're getting there. So
There's
now
a lot to this block, isn't there? It's a
there
good one.
is, yeah.
It's a real good one.
It's as I say, there's going to be a lot of seam matching. So now we're going to do this corner unit here, and it's like a 4 patch, but
Could you just pull it down a little bit, please?
yeah, it's a 4
There we
patch.
go.
Yeah, there we go. It's a 4 patch. That's the unit, but it's got 2 half square triangles in it. So we have to cut everything individually in this instance. So we've got 4 fabric G squares, 2.5 inch squares, and then we've got 2 7/8 inch fabric A and fabric N. So we're going to mark the diagonals again on the fabric. Doesn't matter which one you do it on. I'll do it on the A because it shows up easier. Just marking across the diagonal, and I always mark from the middle outwards when I remember, but it just prevents stretching really. And if you've best pressed your fabric, it shouldn't. And as I say, these fibre tips are so light that they don't drag the fabric anyway.
I hear you now when I go to mark any diagonal. I'm like, Jane would say, middle out, middle out.
Middle out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Karen says, I'm loving this block. Thank you, Jane, for such a lovely quilt.
Thank you.
And a serious question from John. He would like to know how many red currant and blueberry biscotti is too many with your morning coffee. He says he's asking for a friend, that old chestnut. And the reply seems to be as long as it's not more than a whole packet. Depends how big the packet is, doesn't it?
Yes, I suppose it does really.
I would just say, you know, crack on. You're only here once. Enjoy yourself.
Whatever makes you happy at the moment.
Do you know what? Yeah, whatever gets you the day. Unlike poor Lowe's work colleagues who dared to say that they'd forgotten something. Yeah, they were brave, weren't they, interrupting this. She said, it's Stitchy Witchy Wednesday. They should know to leave me alone.
Leave me be.
No, where was that suggestion when we wanted to know what to call workshop
Stitchy
Wednesdays?
Witchy Wednesday.
Do we need to get Josh to do a new banner for the website, Stitchy Witchy Wednesday? It's quite catchy, I like that one.
Yeah. So I've sewn 1/4 inch either side of that marked line with the 2 squares right sides together, and I'm going to cut along that marked line.
With the new rotary cutter, how's that working out for you?
Beautiful, because it's a brand new blade. It's like cutting through butter. It's wonderful.
Oh, I changed the blade yesterday and wondered why.
Yeah,
why,
you just think, why did I leave it so long? It's like, oh, goodness me, you struggle. And then you put a new blade in and you're like, oh, for goodness sake. Right, so I placed the dark side on the top, pressed the seams flat, and then pressed it towards, so the seam falls under the darker fabric. Just because I don't want a shadow under, because fabric A is white, I don't want a shadow underneath that.
So press the dark side.
So we're pressing to the dark side.
John says it's a 180 gram packet, so yeah, go for it. Because it's part of your 5 a day. There's at least two fruit in there, right?
Yeah. He said it was cherry, didn't he? Cherry biscuit.
No, but what was it? Hang on, let me go back and find it. Blueberry and red currant.
Yeah, you've got 2 fruits there. You'd be fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you can find another packet with 3 other flavours in, that's your 5 a day. You're laughing.
Yes. Yeah. Right, I'm just going to find the instructions because you have to do these in a certain way, because what we want to achieve is the blue triangle going in a line when it's joined with the 2 squares. So you're going to sew 1 with the blue triangle against the square and 1 with the white triangle against the square. And the white triangle needs to start on the left hand side at the top and run down to the right hand side at the bottom. And then on the other side you want the blue on the bottom right running up to the top left. But on the left hand side of the square, or with the square on the right hand side. It's explained better than that in the instructions. That just made it sound really complicated.
It's all good because we've got pictures and pointy fingers, so
Yes.
it's all good. Oh, there is contemplating of leaving just one biscotti in the pack. No, it'd be lonely. And then it will
if you're
go.
going to leave one in the pack, you've got to leave two.
Yeah,
You can't leave it on its own.
and also those sorts of things they go a bit funny if they're left. So you're just best eating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Angela says that our morning lives are really making a difference to her mental health. She doesn't say which way.
Yeah. It's like tearing her hair out with frustration or
She
lifting her
didn't
mood.
elaborate. So let's hope for the better.
Yeah, let's
shall
hope
we?
it's lifting your mood. You're not watching me thinking, what on earth is she doing now?
Heidi's got us on while working, doing admin tasks. Makes it so much better. Anything that will make admin tasks better, we're there for you. Geraldine says, I request every Wednesday off work so I can watch The White Witch Jane at work. Love her demos. Jane, you're getting a bit of a reputation here.
You're like, I think I'm taking it as a nice thing.
I would.
Yeah.
Helen says that while drawing the lines down the middle, she uses the non-slip seam guide from
Yes.
Creative Grids. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can get one of those little 1/2-inch rulers as well, they're really handy because you can just place it in the middle and draw either side of it, which is quite nice to do as well. If you haven't got a 1/4 inch line on your, you can't move your needle on your machine.
Yeah.
You can always draw your 1/4 inch either side, and then you've got a line to follow. You make an assumption sometimes that everybody's got this facility for moving their needle, and all of us don't have those machines necessarily.
No, just change the width of your stitch instead.
Yeah.
John just says that he adores these ladies. He's called us enablers. Look, at the end of the day, if you leave one in a packet, someone's got to tidy it up.
Yeah.
And that's just annoying.
And also, if you eat them all, you can get rid of the packet and nobody knows you've eaten them.
Exactly. Grams are teeny tiny anyway. So you're good to go. You see, thank you, Jojo. Absolutely. New blades, tell me about it. Steve cut his finger yesterday.
Ooh.
Whoops. By not using correct tools. By gosh, did he get a telling off?
Well, I bet he did.
Helen, are you teaching him safe ways to use these things? I think we just assume people know, don't we? But always cover your blade in between cutting.
Yeah, as soon as you've put that blade on the mat, I've got a mantra in my head. I hear it every time that open, cut, close. So you don't even open your blade until you're ready to cut. You cut and then you close it and you put it down. Do not put it down open.
No.
It's so easy to catch your hand on it, or put fabric on top of it, grab the fabric and, well, we don't want to talk about that.
Or drop it, especially in summer when you've got your flip-flops on.
Yeah, not good.
Who was it? Oh, it was Joy. Do you remember Joy at Sewing Quarter? When she did workshops, she wouldn't let ladies in without closed shoes on.
Yeah.
In case anybody dropped a rotary cutter, she'd had that happen.
Yeah.
I think sometime before.
Not nice.
You only do it once, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's it. It is true. Okay, so we've got the one with the blue triangle against the square and the one with the white triangle against the square, and we're going to put those together so that fabric G runs in opposite directions.
Nice.
And when we get it sewn together, it will look like the line is matching up. And again, we've pressed the fabric towards fabric G so that when we put those together, they nestle, and that helps with lining up the seams. And again, we've got a sort of, it's not an X, but it's a similar sort of thing, and we just want our seam line to run on top of that so we don't lose the point of our triangle. You can pin it if you want to, if if it makes you feel safer doing that, pin it by all means.
Oh, John said, Jane is amazing. White Witch, Stitch Guru, a rose by any other name. Just amazing. And she's in red as well, so she is a rose today.
I'm a rose today.
Oh, Ali always feeds the dogs a crumb or two, then she doesn't feel guilty about the end of the packet because she shared.
She shared it. That works.
Is that the
like
one?
my dog, you can't get away with not sharing because the eyes bore into you until you shared it.
Yeah. Who was it? I think it was it Jess said that your snack should be the same size as your coffee cup, so therefore a bucket. Will do. Well, that's me.
And we can do the little twiddle on this because it's a
Oh
full
yeah,
patch.
of course you can.
So we can unpick
Twiddle away.
those 2 seams there. Not the seams, the 2 stitches along that seam, up to that seam, up to that stitch line that we've just done. Just to make life easier, take some of the bulk out. And then when we press it, you'll flatten it, press the seam, set it, and then you can just twist that. And it's a little bit more fiddly to twist, but it will twist up. One will go up and one will go down.
Oh yeah, John said a lady in his group cut her toe almost off by leaving the blade open and knocked it off the table.
Oh gosh.
They saved it, but it was awful. Oh.
And it's like, I mean, it's serious, but you get blood everywhere as well. And if you get blood on your fabric, it's really hard to move it, get it off.
Yeah. Elizabeth said that when she started hairdressing, it was the law to wear closed toe shoes because of dropping scissors.
If you work in a catering kitchen, you have to wear. They encourage you to wear safety shoes as well, because you drop a knife on your toe and you'd know about it.
Yeah, Claire says that she always does open cut close with Ryan. He's a magpie for dangerous objects. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got all our units made now, and we're going to start constructing the block. So we're going to make the rows by sewing 3 blocks together, and then we'll sew the rows together. So row 1 and 3 are made in the same way, and you could make them exactly the same way because one is just turned around. So I'm going to do that now. So I'll just move the middle row out of the way. So this is row 1 and this will be row 3, and once we've got them sewn round, we'll just turn that around by 180 degrees when it comes to it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Now you need to make sure that when you're putting these blocks together, that you don't do this and have the 2 colours the same next to each other. You want the opposite colour. Okay, so you can see how easy it would have been. I mean, you can if you want to, you'll get a different effect and that's fine. But for this quilt, we're sewing opposite colours together. So just make sure you've got those blocks.
This is all photographed in your instructions.
All in there, and all written so that it says that. So you've got this effect going on. It's almost like a 4 patch, but not quite. So you'll line those seams up together, and you can nestle those seams. This one I haven't pressed to the white triangle, so that's seam. But you can always go back if you look at it and you think, oh, that's not nestling. There's nothing to stop you going back and pressing your seam the way that you want it to then go. If it just helps you get all your seams lined up, then do that. So we can nestle that seam there along that middle seam, and we also can nestle these seams on the flying geese and the half square triangle unit in the corner. That will nestle together. So you've got 2 points there of reference, but I would suggest with this block that you do pin along those seams just so that you know that you've got them in the right place.
Okay.
Just because you've got a lot of seams going on here.
Whilst you are pinning,
Yeah.
Maggie says, my husband calls me a white witch because I can always find a decent parking space. He's been known to come home having not been able to park.
Oh.
You just have to see it in your head, and then there it is. That's the biggest
I
trick
think
for that.
also you don't have to get too het up about the fact that you might have to park further away. I know we all like to park as close as we can.
Oh no, I always park close. There's always
I
a
like to
space.
be as close as I can, but
And she also says, what are the corrections to the block? Because she missed it. I don't think we said, actually.
I don't think we said no.
It was just a cutting instruction, wasn't
It's
it?
a cutting instruction and the amount I said to cut. I think I've said to cut 16 and you only need to cut 8. And for the more confident patchworkers among us, you'll look at this instruction and you'll think, oh, Jane, you idiot. Because I've put, do 1 2 7/8 widths of fabric strip and then subcut it into 8 2.5 inch squares. Well, obviously, if you've cut a 2 7/8 strip and then you're cutting it into 2.5 inches, it's not a square. So I hope that you would realise that it should be 2 7/8 squares. but we've said that, and I think it's this
So
one.
2 7/8 inch squares, not 2.5 inch
No,
squares.
not
So
2
go
and a
for the
half.
bigger
Yeah,
size.
go for the bigger size.
Okay.
And then I think it's here, subcut one strip into 16 2.5 inch squares. That's fabric G, and it should only be 8. I think that's what it. Or no, it's here. It's on step 2 that I said 16, and I should have said 8. You'll just end up with more full patch units that you don't actually need.
They could go into another project.
You could, you know,
It's all
you've
good.
saved yourself time for things there.
Yeah. Oh, Karen says, I would never think, Jane, you idiot. Don't be so hard on yourself. I think it's just one of those things,
Yeah,
isn't
it's just a turn of phrase.
Yeah.
It's just, I quite often say it to myself. It's like, oh, you idiot. Fancy doing that.
it? Elaine said she recently asked SJ how many blocks in this quilt. She said 8, but how many in total for the whole quilt? Oh, 8 different. She meant 8 different blocks.
Yeah, there's actually 7 different blocks.
7
but
different blocks.
The total it's a 16 block quilt, so it's 4 by 4 in the middle, and then you've got the 4 corner blocks. So it's actually a 16 block quilt. But we've got 6 blocks, different blocks in the middle, and then the
Yes.
7th block is the corner block.
There you go. There you go. And so I think SJ is probably going by numbers of shows
Yes.
and whatnot, because
Because
then we
we've
do
got
binding
An
and
8th
everything
show
else.
where we're going to show you how to put it all together and how it all goes together. So when you come to press these, I suggest that you press it so that the seam goes underneath the corner triangle, just because there's less fabric there. So it's going that way.
Nice.
Helps if you take the pin out before you press it.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter with these pins. It's not like you're going to melt the plastic into it like other pins.
But your block won't open up. You've got it still pinned
Well,
together.
you know, I mean, details, Jane, details.
So again, when you put the next corner unit in, you want to make sure that it's going the right way. You don't want the square against it. You want your squares to run from bottom left to top right, and that you've got a white against the blue on that one. And again, you've got several nesting points there. You've got your 4 patch in the middle, and then you've got your triangles in the corners. You may find that your 4 patch part doesn't nestle, so just run a seam along this, a pin along the seam line, and then just make sure they're nestling at the top there. And again, you can pop a pin in along that seam if you just want to be sure that it stays together as you take it to the machine.
Jojo says, wow, she's learning lots today, thank you. I think when you've been a sewist for years but not a quilter, you get complacent and think you know it all. Haha, but quilting is a whole new world. It's funny, isn't it? It really is.
It is. There's so many subtle differences between patchwork and dressmaking sewing, really.
But if you have the patience to do dressmaking, then
Yes, definitely.
you know, they are
most
transferable
patchwork
skills.
is yeah, definitely. It's mostly straight line with a running stitch. There's not many fancy stitches within quilting, so you know, if you can sew a straight line, you'll be fine. And even if it's not particularly straight, you'll still be fine.
Oh, Ali B said, decided I have lockdown brain. I think that's a thing. Doing block 1 yesterday 4 times, I put the fabrics together, the right side's out. Became very close to my unpicker. You know, you would just be putting people out of business that made them. So you are supporting industry in needing unpickers. Thank goodness for audiobooks. Berth Worcester at the moment. I love a good audiobook.
Yes, it's nice actually. It keeps you company, doesn't it? When
Yeah.
you're sewing.
Do you have what do you listen to on your drive down?
Radio 2.
Oh, okay.
I kept the end of Vanessa and then the beginning of Zoe. I love Zoe's energy. She's just a positive, energetic, happy person. But at the same time, will be quite happy to say to you. Now, what I've done here is I've sewn this block the wrong way up. because I've been so busy talking.
Sorry.
So I'm just going to do... No, it's my own fault. I should be checking my stuff. And I bet there are people watching me going, look, you put your block upside down.
I was too busy chatting, to be fair.
There'll have been people at home going, Jane, no, Jane, don't. You put it the wrong way up.
Yeah, but it's like me the other day. Cut all the right sizes with me mocha block, and then use the wrong size squares. It's so easily done.
It is.
So easily done. Especially if you're a little bit tired, or for me, this last week it's been headaches. That's the thing. Lo says Thursday Murder Club is really good.
Oh, that's the new Richard Osman book, isn't it? It's his first book, and everybody's saying it, what a good book it is.
Okay, and are you audio booking that, Lo? Oh, can you remind me, Jane, says Linda, if you subscribe to book a month, was the wadding included in the final stages?
No, all you get with the subscription is all the fabric for your top and your binding.
I think we decided that with the wadding, it's such a personal choice.
Yes, it is. I mean, everybody has their preferred type of wadding and what they can have within their budget. So it is a big quilt, so, you know, and I think we tend to kit just quilt tops and binding anyway, don't we? We don't tend to...
Yeah. Helen says one doesn't unpick. It's reverse stitching.
Reverse sewing, yes.
I've not heard that one before. I like that. Oh, hi, Steve. Oh, and there we go. Gemma says that Meg fell over, that's her daughter, fell over a Cooney piglet once, and Zoe Ball picked her up.
Oh.
As you do. I mean, isn't Zoe Ball always there to pick you up after falling over a Cooney pig?
That's what she does,
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Lo listens to her audiobooks when she goes to bed. Oh, is this where Jeff gets frustrated because he never knows who done it? Because he falls asleep first. You see?
Yeah.
I don't think you ever get too old for a bedtime story. We are currently reading The Midnight Gang.
Oh.
Which
that
is
by?
David Walliams.
Oh, yes. He's a good...
Yeah.
He's a good one, isn't he?
So we're part way through there.
I was going to ask Freddie if I could borrow his Ichabod book, because I read I loved the Harry Potter books. I read them to my boys at the time, but I used to read them a chapter and then take it back to bed with me and finish reading it. And I read the sleeve of the Ichabod one, and I was like, well, I'm going to ask Freddie if I can borrow that when he's finished with it. It sounds like a really good story.
He does like the Ichabod. Yeah, I haven't read it yet. I'm sure that will be on the list. I feel a bit sorry actually because Emily doesn't get all because we're busy reading all of Freddie's stories. She doesn't necessarily. She's missed out on a bit of Julia Donaldson. I think maybe we might have to do a few rounds of the Gruffalo or something before we do Freddie's bedtime story.
Julia Donaldson. Zog as well, the dragon, and does she do Room on the Broom as well?
Room on the Broom.
Yeah.
Dawn!
I love the Room on the Broom.
Yeah, she's just fabulous.
We used to read Apple Tree Farm books. My boy Isaac loved Apple Tree Farm, and the first page starts the same way. This is Apple Tree Farm, this is Mrs. Boot the farmer, and this is her children. I can't remember the children's name, and their dog called Rusty. All the books start the same way. So Isaac learnt this section, and so it looked like he was reading the book.
Yeah, for Freddie it was We're Going on a Bear Hunt. He knew that one absolutely off by heart.
We used to have audio tapes in the car of poems and songs, and one of the things on it was the Owl and the Pussycat.
Went to sea in a beautiful peeping
and the
boat.
one time we got back home and I switched the tape off. It was halfway through. Switched the car off and it was halfway through this, and he just carried on saying it. And from listening to it, he'd learnt the Owl and the Pussycat, and he could. And I took him into my mum's and I sat him on the workshop and I said, "Tell Granny that poem." The Owl and the Pussycat went to sea. We were all like, "Oh my God!"
But that's how you learn, isn't it? I had I had LPs of such things.
Yes, we had. My mum had found the Thomas the Tank Engine stories read by Johnny Morris. I don't know. Do you remember Johnny Morris?
Yeah, I remember Johnny Morris.
And he'd done all the voices for all the engines, and it was an LP. And my mum transferred that onto a tape so that we got it in the car as well.
Amazing.
But it was lovely.
Oh, you see, Lois says get all the Eye for the Engines for them to watch.
Oh yes, I love Eye for the Engine.
And Pam went to Warwick Art Centre to watch Room on the Broom with her granddaughter. It was magical.
So I'm sorry, I've just skipped forward there.
No,
I'm
go
sewing,
for it.
now I've rectified that one. I'm sewing the side units now, the Flying Geese units, and I'm sewing them against the 4 patch. Again, making sure that the 4 patch runs from bottom left to top right with the G fabrics.
Yep.
And that the fabric M of the Flying Geese units is against the 4 patch on either side. And this time I'm pressing the seam in towards the 4 patch. It doesn't like it, it wants to go to the Flying Geese, but because we press those ones that way,
Yeah.
we want the seam to go inwards on the middle row.
Brilliant, brilliant. Oh yeah, Warwick Art Centre often does things like that. They often have like the Junior Donaldson ones. What did I take Freddie to see? Oh, one of them, and it was just so lovely. When Emily was very, very wee, so she didn't come, and it was the first time we'd gone anywhere and left with, and gone, you know, it was the first time Freddie and I had gone out on our own without Emily.
Yes.
Oh,
I
now
think it's
Myra
nice.
says, talking about books, Jane,
Yeah.
are you thinking about doing one?
No.
Up to now, you could be on book 3 with your knowledge.
Yeah, I have enough trouble writing a pattern, never mind writing a book.
Hello, Hazel, how are you?
Okay, so we've got those rows done now, and we've got the seams on the top row and the bottom row facing outwards and the middle row facing inwards. Now, as I said before, we've got a lot of seam matching here. We've got seam matching here and here, and we've got this that we want to match here. Now, this shouldn't be a problem. This should be 1/4 inch, so that should sit quite nicely. If, like this one, you can see that this is coming a little bit lower and we're not happy with that, just check where the 1/4 inch is and trim it down. Don't trim that level there, because that's not 1/4 inch. So just pop your ruler, if we can, I'll just show you on here. We'll probably find when I put this on that the 1/4 inch is fine. So lining it up with the seam line there, on straight line on my ruler with the seam line, and that's the 1/4 inch mark, and I want it to come to this point on the triangle here. So lining that up, actually I will know that when I'll just trim this little bit off, there's a little bit sticking out there, but I'll know when I line that up that I'm lining it up now with that Flying Geese unit, not with that part there. And if you look at that, I mean, it's just a few threads, but that square is just slightly short. It can be in your seam allowance, you're not quite standing quite square, or when you were cutting with your ruler you'd slip slightly. All these things happen. Don't beat yourself up too much about it, but if you can just be aware of where your seam lines allowances are, it does help. So we're just checking that we've got fabric M going against the middle row, if I turn it round the right way. So this is row 1 and row 2. So we want to make sure fabric M is against the 4 patch and the fabric G squares are going from bottom left to top right, just so that we're sure, because it would be so easy to do that and then you'd have to unpick it all again. Ask me how I know.
Which happens. Yeah.
So again, I'm just going to use my pins and I'm going to line up the points that I need to line up. So the corner of where that triangle is there, I'm going to line that up with that triangle there. I've also got the seams nestling anyway, so I know I'm in the right place, but you sometimes might just have to adjust it slightly just to make sure that you're in the right place for your seams. And then you can run the pin along that seam line there, just so that you know you're in the right place. And again here, on one of them, you will get it nestling because your seam will go the right way. So that side nestles, and you can just run a pin across there. And those half square triangles there will nestle in the corner. But on the opposite side, you've got 2 seams on top of each other. So just line up the seam with your pin and just run your pin along that seam. You'll be able to feel it underneath and just run it along there. And again, you've got the nestling of the half square triangles there.
So all these seams should, in theory, line up nicely and not give you too much problem when you come to sew.
Nice. Karen says, my eldest daughter has read Harry Potter to her fiancé. He's not a great fan of reading and she is. They're 33 and 34. You're never too old to be read to. How lovely.
There's something very relaxing about being read to, I think.
Yeah. And you know what? During lockdown, we've got time, haven't we?
This is it, yeah. My nana used to read articles out of the newspaper to my granddad in the morning
Oh, okay.
over breakfast. She'd
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, pick an odd thing and read it to him.
There you go. Like I said, my youngest daughter went back to school into year 1 and we had to tell the teacher she had read Harry Potter during the summer holidays. Giving her books with 2 sentences to a page wasn't doing it for her. Do you know what?
This is it. And your children develop, don't they, different ways.
Yeah.
And some children just aren't interested until quite late on.
Yeah, yeah.
They like being read to, but they're not bothered about picking up a book themselves. But I think, you know, if children see you reading, it's a natural thing for them to do.
Yeah.
You know, if they see grown-ups just sitting and taking some time out and reading a book, it's like, oh, well, that's what you do. You know, you give yourself time to read.
Yeah, my mum would always sit down after lunch with a cup of tea and a piece of chocolate and a magazine or a book or something. And in the evenings, her and Dad they read and read and read and read and read. Which was always fun when we came to move house because we had so many boxes of books.
Yes, to move. Like
Yeah. You see, I can't throw books away.
No, but I don't know what it is that I'm the same. It's just, and once you've read it, even though you probably know that you will never read it again, not for a long time anyway, you can't bear not to have it with you.
I think you go through that stage, don't you, as a parent, where there's just not the time to read, or if you do read, you just fall asleep.
Yes,
or
you read the same chapters like all week.
Yeah, or when you're reading, you're just so busy. It's reading for the kids.
Yeah.
You know, I look forward to reading a grown-up book one day soon.
I think that's when these you can get magazines that have short stories in. I think that's when they come into their own because you've just got like a couple of pages with a little short story on, which is quite nice.
And you're done. Yeah, Laurie said that she
read.
tried audiobooks, had to give up, couldn't even get to the end of the first chapter before falling asleep.
Oh.
Well, there is that, but then that's what I use them for. I use them to fall
Yes,
asleep
to help you to relax. I think this is it, isn't it? If it helps you to relax. And
Wendy said that she was told to slow one of her girls down by her teacher as she was getting through the books too quickly. She loves reading now. No, don't ever slow them down.
No, never.
No. No. It's not like, you know, you're going to run out of books.
No, that's never going to be a problem,
You
is
know? No. If they've got that love, yeah.
So we've lined up the second row exactly the same way, matching seams, pinning along seams. Just taking time really, just to make sure that everything lines up. If you need to trim it, but just be careful when you are trimming it that you give yourself the 1/4 of an inch. You know, that you're making sure that you don't lose any of the points of your triangles.
Right, okay. Elizabeth says that she's astonished when people rip books up to put in projects. Yeah, no, that's not a thing. You can't do that to a book.
No.
And Karen says, I love to read. Love the feel of a book in my hands. I used to read to my dad in the care home. I don't understand. He didn't understand me, but he liked the sound of me reading. Again, it's that comfort, isn't it?
Yes.
There is a comfort to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the block done. Now, looking at this block here, my point here doesn't quite match up with the point there. I'm not going to lose sleep over that. It's
Good.
a couple of threads. But if I was going to think, oh, I'm not happy with that, because that side matches up so beautifully, I would just unpick it to there. I wouldn't unpick the whole row. I'd unpick half of it just so that I could then readjust that bit there and then sew it back together, because everything else is matching up beautifully. It's just that little bit there. But in the grand scheme of things, when it's in the quilt, because this block is actually in the corner bit here, This is the block here, and on each corner it's just twisted. So you'll have your left-hand corner with your row of fabric G facing inwards, and then the right-hand corner it faces the opposite way. So they faced in like that. So it just gives it that where your eye takes you across towards the middle of the quilt. But when that's in the quilt and you've got it quilted, you'll hardly notice that little bit that's discrepancy there. So there you go. And if you use this block to make a quilt just on its own, if you look here, I don't know if you can start to see it, but you will get another little block forming here.
Oh wow, goodness.
So what
yes.
you could do if you wanted to, if you were going to use it in a different project, is you could alternate these squares. So when you put this together here, you'd end up with another 4 patch going
Very
on.
nice, very nice.
And the same with this corner here, you're going to end up with a big diamond shape of a solid colour. So again, you might want to alternate the 2 colours here, so have one colour and a different colour or different shade there. So when you get that 4 patch going on there, you'd have another little patch going on. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Lo says don't unpick. It's because it is homemade with love. Love is never perfect, but we can't live without it.
Definitely, that's perfect. That's a lovely thing to say, Lo.
No, it really is. And Gail says, Fab Block ladies, what size backing do we need for this quilt?
That's a good question. I can't think what size it is.
We're going to do a whole show, aren't we, on the backing and the wadding and everything?
When we come towards the end, we're going to do a show on joining it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we'll talk about it in the same show or if we'll do a different show about quilting it and binding it.
I've bought, that should be on their way at some point, I bought them well in advance, the backings for them.
Yeah, so we might
should you wish.
We might combine the whole show for joining the blocks together and then quilting and backing and binding, because we've done a show previously on binding, so it would seem a little bit pointless to do another show again on the same thing. I don't know how you feel about that, but we can decide about that. Yeah, so I think it's an 80 by 80 inch quilt finished. I'm not certain on that. 12-inch blocks is 4, that's 48, and then it's another, yeah. Might be, I can't remember. It's big. It's a big quilt.
It's big.
So you're going to need at least 2 meters, maybe 2.5 meters.
Depending on...
Yeah, if you can get 108 wide fabric, you'd need 2.5 meters of it.
And we do a blue tilde
circular
one, which is rather lovely.
Which would look lovely on the back of there. Or if you can only get the 60, you'd need 5 meters of it.
But just bear with, because I have ordered.
Yeah, and we'll talk
some
about
gorgeous
it
108s
in depth.
Yeah.
About what you'll need and how you'll do
Yep,
it.
yep.
So yeah.
So yeah, it's tempting, isn't it, to skip ahead.
Yes.
80 by 80 would be about 5 meters 42 inches wide of backing, if not being long-armed, says Mr. Cole Morgan, who knows these things.
Who knows these things,
because,
yes.
you know, it's his job
Yeah.
to know these things.
Yes, you'd expect him to know it.
Yes, I would hope
Yeah.
so. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Let's have another quick look at this then. If I can get the angles right. Look at that. Just beautiful.
It's lovely.
Beautiful, I tell you. Jane, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I've got to go and get that cushion
Oh yes. I'm going to
Look
show you
what
what
she
we're
said
doing
for us.
next week.
for a second.
Because-
it's really beautiful. Yeah, tell them why.
We're coming up to Valentine's Day, aren't we? We're not going anywhere. Not going out for meals or anything, are we? And I don't know about you, but we don't tend to do much for Valentine's Day anyway. I think it's a little bit hyped up. But I do love a heart. And this cushion I've made, it's a classic traditional woven heart block. And I made it into a cushion figure, but I'm going to put in the pattern how it would look if you did it in a quilt pattern as well. So you've got the option of what you want to do with it. So it's we used a 1/2 metre heaven plus another 1/2 metre for background. So this is the cushion. I don't know if you can see it. If I put it that way, you might be able to see it. It's that's the heart shape.
It's one of those things, it's not obviously hearty.
No,
It's
a
a
nice
discreet
pattern.
heart.
yeah. It's a 9 patch with a little twiddly bit on the side. So we're going to do that next week, just with a little nod to Valentine's Day, but it's the sort of thing that you could use any time, and it would make a nice quilt pattern for a wedding quilt, or even for a little baby quilt or something. So yeah.
Oh, you could embroider the name.
Yeah, you could.
Of the.
Could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heart it very much, for sure. Look at that.
That's lovely.
You are so clever. So that will be next Wednesday. We'll do it in another couple of colourways as well for you, because I had a brainwave about that last night.
Yeah.
And yes, so everybody, thank you so much. I will be on her channel tomorrow, so that's where I will be. But don't forget, the Half Meter Heavens go live midnight tonight.
It's a gorgeous fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I might have a few little surprises for the rest of the week. So I might pop up and do the odd Facebook Live. You never know. Because, you know, that, yeah, I can just hear Gemma going, no, don't do it. Step away from the FaceTime, Natasha, you're no good at it. But, you know, there's only one way to get better, right?
Yes, practice makes perfect.
Yes. So, yes. Stitchy Witchy Wednesdays are the best, says John.
Oh, bless him.
And there is a stunning hint of a mustardy yellow in the cushion, which is divine, and also one of this year's Pantones. Yes.
We had some fun fussy cutting this, because it's a stripe. Well, you can see it's a stripy fabric.
It's Tilda, beautiful
Tilda. So we had some fun fussy cutting with that, which I'll talk about.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you at home, everybody, for watching. And yeah, we... yes, Facebook Live subscription, says Myra. Well, just hang fire, wait and see. And
sounds exciting.
And yes, I will see you next. Well, soon. Keep an eye out. I'll give you warning if I'm going to do it.
Definitely on Monday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, and tomorrow on Achanda, but definitely on Monday.
Yeah. All of that. Give us a wave then, Jane.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.